Welcome to this episode of Path to Legend. As the game continues to update with more builds, I'm gradually becoming curious about whether other classes have some interesting builds to explore. When I was scrolling through YouTube, I found a powerful Reflect Sunder Smith Build. The video about this build is provided by a YouTuber named Kultorek. Before diving into the build mechanics, let's first get acquainted with the core skill, Wind Dancer. Wind Dancer is a skill that features AoE range and continuous damage. Upon activation, it grants an evasion buff. When hit, Wind Dancer explodes, dealing damage based on the number of stacks and weapon damage. It's capable of clearing enemies on the screen, offering an evasion buff upon activation, and exploding upon being hit, with damage determined by stack count and weapon damage. This skill is particularly effective when paired with two-handed weapons and melee skills. In PoE 2, there's a mechanic where poison can be ignited by fire, and this is the core mechanic of this build. To achieve this, we need the following 5 support gems. Envenom. Supported skills have 50% chance to poison on hit. Armor Explosion. Supported skills trigger an explosion when they fully break an enemy's armor. Bursting Plague. Poison from supported skills also adds 100% of damage per second to enemy as plague, up to a maximum of 20% of enemy's maximum life. Corrosion. Poison applied by supported skills also breaks armor equal to 80% of poison damage. Lacerate. Supported skills have 50% chance to inflict bleeding. With these support gems, Wind Dancer will trigger when we are hit, allowing Envenom and Corrosion to apply poison and armor shattering. Once the armor is shattered, Armor Explosion will trigger an explosion, and Bursting Plague will expand the poison's area of effect. Finally, Lacerate can trigger Herald of Blood, causing monsters to explode. If the monster is still alive, we can use Infernal Cry to ignite the poison on the monster, triggering an explosion. In boss fights, we can use Sunder, Armor Breaker, and Infernal Cry. Start by using Infernal Cry and Armor Breaker to completely shatter the boss's armor. Finally, use Sunder to ensure a critical strike, achieving a one-shot kill. In terms of equipment, you can find and optimize your gear based on the following equipment attributes, following the sequence step by step. 1. Melee skill levels. Increasing these will directly boost the effectiveness of your melee abilities. 2. Strength. Provides additional life and melee physical damage, crucial for melee builds. 3. Dexterity. Enhances accuracy and evasion, contributing to both offensive and defensive capabilities. 4. Maximum life. Increasing your maximum life will enhance your overall survivability. 5. Added damage to attacks. This boosts your damage output, enhancing your overall effectiveness in combat. 6. Elemental resistance, essential for reducing damage taken from elemental attacks. 7. Chaos resistance, important for minimizing damage from chaos-based attacks. 8. Leech physical damage as life. This helps sustain your health during combat by converting a portion of physical damage dealt into life recovery. Since the Wind Dancer can be boosted by melee skill levels, the higher the skill level, the more damage our Wind Dancer can deal. However, it's still important to invest points in the Blood Magic skill. Although the Wind Dancer itself doesn't require mana, other skills do, and it's essential for their functionality. Additionally, for defense, we're focusing on a life regeneration build, which can make things easier for us overall. For Ascendancy, you can choose between Titan and Smith of Kitava. In the Titan Ascendancy, the hulking form provides a 50% increase to our minor nodes, boosting our damage significantly. Meanwhile, Smith of Kitava is one of the tankiest ascendancies in the current version, enhancing our build's survivability greatly. Next, we will move on to our evaluation segment, where we will rate the Smith of Kitava, known for its exceptional generative capabilities. Strength. The leading user of this build on PoE 2 Ninja is Zhuforr. We have compiled all the data from PoE 2 Ninja, and due to the unique nature of this build, the exact DPS isn't visible on Ninja. However, Based on the video of the battle with the T4 boss, we can determine that the DPS strength is in the upper middle range, scoring around 75, and his EHP is as high as 14,955, accounting for 81.76% of the EHP of the ladder list. On paper, the DPS is relatively low, but the EHP is exceptionally strong. By averaging the two, the overall strength score comes out to be approximately 78. In our statistics, his cost is 32.7D, accounting for 11.45% of the cost percentile of the ladder list, which is higher than the cost of most builds. In terms of cost, it can only score 11 points. Uniqueness. 8% of people play Smith of Kitava in Ninja's ladder stats, while Wind Dancers make up only 5% of people playing Smith of Kitava. For each item J belonging to a given BDN, suppose the BD has NN items. Index these items by J belongs to N. The uniqueness score for BDN is, where RJ refers to the number of players who play this character using this item base, for example, Ancient Myths, among all the item bases in this item category, for example, gloves, measuring how common the item base of J is among players of this character. RJ refers to the number of players using this item base among all the item bases in this item category, measuring how common the item base of J is overall. On Ninja, Smith of Kitava has a usage rate of 8%, ranking as the 6th most used class. Meanwhile, Wind Dancer has a usage rate of 5%. However, the high similarity in equipment usage significantly impacts its uniqueness, resulting in a uniqueness percentile of 43.82% and a score of 43. Based on this evaluation, only 5% of players use the Wind Dancer skill within the Smith of Kitava class, which is quite a small percentage. However, due to the equipment, its uniqueness is not as pronounced. Therefore, we will update it in the future to enhance the uniqueness of both the class and the skill. Practicality. The Practicality score is the only somewhat subjective, manually determined rating. This build boasts excellent map clearing efficiency and performs well in boss battles. It's easy to learn and delivers powerful results, making it highly suitable for players. I would give it a Practicality rating of 90. Final score. We combine the ratings for cost, strength, uniqueness, and practicality to calculate the final average score. The total value for money score is 59 points. The score is relatively low, mainly due to the high cost. If you can afford over 30D, the build's efficiency is actually quite high. Meanwhile, if new players don't have 30D immediately, they can use related leveling options to gradually transition. That's all for this episode of our Path of Legend series. Do you think the latest build analysis method was helpful? Feel free to leave your thoughts in the comment section. If you want to see more build recommendations, remember to follow and like our content. See you next time.